I ran a poll yesterday to have an idea as to what kind of content you guys would be looking for next in terms of my video tutorials. And I wanted to focus on like web app based stuff. So I had a whole bunch of different potential vulnerabilities here, so like SQL injection, OAuth, OS injection, etc. And you guys have voted within the last few hours. It's been a really great turnout, so thank you for that. And I'm going to leave it running for a few days and just kind of give you my insights into it so far. So, by far, SQL injection is winning at the moment with 195 votes. That is a really interesting vulnerability because it allows you to completely read everything from the database, and it would be a critical finding in a web app pen test. Next we have OAuth, which is where there's multiple ways to sign into applications, so it's very pertinent to today's modern web apps such as social media. And then we have OS injection, which is a super fun one where you can potentially run operating system commands directly from the browser, which is a pretty serious issue. And then next we have web-based LLM attacks, so large language models, so things like ChatGPT, etc. This is probably the newest of all of the vulnerabilities, and it can be a very interesting one. So I'm looking forward to doing that one at some point. And then we have JWT vulnerabilities, so JSON Web Tokens. So this is something you would see in API pen testing, and it is very pertinent to modern web applications these days. And then we get down to like the lower sort of end of the vote so far. So cross-site scripting is something that I found as a pen tester when I started 12 years ago, and it's still something that you find regularly, I would say, in pen tests. And then we have GraphQL, cross-site request forgery, server-side request forgery, which is pretty low down. And then last we have race conditions, which is I'm kind of quite surprised that that's down there in last, because it is kind of like quite a fun vulnerability to do. You don't find it that often in pen tests, but when you do, it is a really good or interesting thing to report. So some of you may not really understand what it is, so I'll just give you a brief overview of it. So basically, it's where you put through two or more requests simultaneously. So I found it within a gaming website a while ago. So it was kind of like a casino type website where you would top up your balance, and then you would then bet on various casino based games. Now, with a race condition, you can put through multiple requests simultaneously. So the way that it would work was the application would check your balance before allowing you to make your bet. So what you could do is put through the same request, let's say 10 times, and bet on a certain game. And let's say you have 10 credits, you would bet your 10 credits, and the application would check your balance first, realize that yes, you do have 10 credits, and then allow you to make that bet. However, what you could do is put through that same request 10 times, but within a few milliseconds of one another, and it wouldn't perform that same balance check because the way the application was written, it would just allow it through essentially. So that one balance check would only check once within a given time period. So essentially I was increasing my odds by 10 times by putting that same request through multiple times. So I think it's been a really positive outcome so far, and I'd be interested to see what the final outcome is of this poll. So I'm going to leave it running for a couple of days, and then based on the outcome, that will be where I do my first video. Thanks for listening, guys, and please do vote on the poll.